Max stood frozen in the university courtyard, the world around him blurring into a soft focus. Beneath the sprawling branches of a cherry tree in full bloom, a girl was sketching with a quiet intensity that felt magnetic. Pink petals drifted through the air like winter snow, settling in her hair and across her shoulders. In that single breathless moment, Max felt a sudden shift in his universe, a profound sense of recognition that defied logic. He didn't just see her, he felt the sudden, frantic architecture of a heartbeat he'd never known before. Luck, it seemed, was on his side. When Max finally reached his first lecture, the only available seat was directly beside the girl from the courtyard. As the professor began to drone on about structural foundations, Max turned to her, his heart hammering against his ribs. "I'm Max," he whispered, offering a nervous smile. The girl looked up from her charcoal-stained fingers and smiled back, her eyes sparkling with a creative light. "I'm May," she replied. "I saw you earlier. You looked like you'd seen a ghost, or maybe just a lot of falling petals." What began as a chance meeting quickly evolved into a daily rhythm. Every afternoon, they found a small table at the campus cafe, tucked away from the noise of the student union. Over sandwiches and steaming cups of coffee, they traded stories of their lives. Max talked about his fascination with the way buildings stood against time, while May showed him the hidden worlds within her sketchbook. The shared lunches became the highlight of their days, a sanctuary where their friendship began to grow into something far deeper and more complex. The connection didn't end when the campus gates closed. Even at night, when they were miles apart in their respective rooms, the conversation continued. Their phones buzzed constantly with a steady stream of texts, inside jokes, photos of interesting shadows, and goodnight messages that lingered in the air long after the screens went dark. May found herself checking her phone every few minutes, her heart skipping a beat whenever Max's name appeared. She realized she wasn't just enjoying his company. She was falling for the boy in the gray hoodie. As the semester progressed, Max's feelings intensified until they felt like a physical weight. He began to see the world through May's artistic eyes, noticing the play of light on brickwork and the grace in a stranger's gait. He knew he wanted to be more than the guy she had lunch with. He wanted to be the person who walked beside her through every season. He spent hours thinking of how to tell her, his mind sketching out a blueprint for a future that featured her in every room. February 14th arrived with a crisp chill and the smell of roses in the air. The university was draped in red and pink, but Max only had eyes for one person. He sent May a single text, "Meet me under our tree." When May arrived at the courtyard, she found Max waiting exactly where he had first seen her. The cherry blossoms were long gone, replaced by the bare, elegant lines of the branches. But to Max, May looked more beautiful than she had that first morning. Max took a deep breath, the cold air filling his lungs as May stepped toward him. He didn't want to wait another second. Dropping to one knee, he looked up at her, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "May, ever since that first day, you've been the only thing I can see clearly. I love you, and I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" He held out the ring, the small diamond catching the pale winter sunlight. Time seemed to suspend itself. May looked from the ring to Max's hopeful face, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, the word carrying more weight than any she had ever spoken. "Yes, Max." He stood up, and they crashed into a warm, desperate hug, holding each other tight as the reality of the moment washed over them. The architecture of his heart was finally complete, and it was stronger than any building he could ever design. The quiet was short-lived. A group of students who had been watching the scene from the nearby cafe began to cheer and clap. The sound grew, turning into a rhythmic chant that echoed off the brick walls. "Kiss! Kiss! Kiss!" May pulled back slightly from the hug, her face flushed pink with embarrassment and happiness. She looked at Max, whose eyes were full of adoration, and she felt a surge of playful confidence. May didn't wait for Max to make the first move. She leaned in, her fingers tangling in his dark, spiky hair as she pulled him toward her. Their lips met in a long, sweet kiss that drowned out the chanting and the cheering of the crowd. In that moment, surrounded by the cold air of February and the warmth of their shared promise, Max knew that this was the most important structure he would ever build. A love that started with a sketch and ended with a forever.